Hello everyone, my name is Shengyu Zhang. I do this YouTube channel because I would like to share more of the stories that I found at the 7 colleges. I believe those stories are meaningful and good for everyone to learn from or friends or the people nearby. We can learn more of the words of wisdom from each near every one of us. All right, so let's begin. Today, I invite Mr.
Cameron Parker.
Cameron Parker.
Cameron Parker.
Yeah, I know him when I was in Oasis. We met in the swimming pool area.
Yes, I make it a nearly nightly habit to go to the hot tub and take a dip there. And I would run into you. I'd run into other people. I don't know. I've made a lot of friends in the hot tub.
Wow, that's really wonderful. May I ask what major you are? And yeah.
So I'm doing a master's in economics. I'm thinking about doing another master's in financial engineering. Economics, most people have a general idea of what that is. But for me, I'm the more data side of economics. I mean, I'm interested in the broader macro economy and how that works. I'm interested in how firms work. But what I think is really interesting is how can you causally infer relationship between things? How can you see a trend in the data and then be able to say, oh, because of this trend in the data, I'm going to make this conclusion, and then that leads to policy, that leads to action, that leads to all that sort of stuff.
Oh, interesting. Can you predict who is going to be the next president?
There's a couple of different methodologies that are pretty interesting. There's Nate Silver, who has predicted the last several elections, and I think he no longer, I forget the full drama, but he left his original group and is doing his own thing, I think, with the New York Times, where he's doing predicting. And then there's this one guy that I recently learned about. His whole thing is these qualitative keys. So like, if it's an incumbent election, how popular is the incumbent? Or favorability, not even favorability, it's like all vibes based. But according to the history books, apparently he's gotten almost every election right. Except for, but no, he has all these keys that, according to him, Kamala will win the election. According to Nate Silver, it's pretty close, but I'm not too interested in all that.
Okay.
Not really.
So what area that you are interested in?
The stuff that I'm really interested in is like philosophy.
But you are studying economics, right?
Yes.
Economics, philosophy. Did you combine them together or not?
How do I combine them together? Well, I'm sort of using techniques and ways of thinking that I've gained from economics to understand how people operate in the psyche and how people think. I'd like to think that's true, at least. But yeah, a lot of my free time I spend just meditating or just thinking about things or reading philosophy. It's not researching economics.
Okay, cool. So would you like to talk about any of your work? Do you have anything that you publish or you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I have my work, like my philosophical work, which I could talk about. I haven't so much published it or anything. That's what the YouTube we were talking about.
Oh, so you want to make a YouTube channel about philosophy?
Yeah, where I'm giving my ideas and how I understand how people think, how I understand how I think. And I think that it's applicable to a lot of people. And all that.
That's pretty good. And is there any help you are looking for? Like opportunities, jobs, or anything else?
No. That's sort of just not on the docket right now. I don't have a dream job. I'm doing the financial engineering because it would land me a really good job if I complete. I'm thinking about doing the financial engineering. I haven't quite signed up for it yet. I need to talk to the professor in charge of that about signing up for the degree. It would land me a really good job, but it would also give me another year to work on my own philosophical stuff, which I'm valuing time more and more. But so if I did the financial engineering job, I might get a job as a quant or something like that.
Quantum researcher or quantum analyst?
Not quantum, quantitative.
Oh, okay.
So
quantitative.
Quants are people who create models that predict how the market will operate, usually specific stocks or indexes or something along those lines. And they use statistical methods along with financial know-how and economic know-how. So my economics degree would come in handy there.
Cool. Okay, let's pause here and change your angle. So I also would like to ask, could you share some fun experience you have?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one that stands out the most was when I was in undergrad. I was able to spend a year studying abroad. So I spent a year traveling. And that was really fun.
Where did you go?
One semester was in Europe. I went to 18 countries.
18, okay.
18 countries.
Very wonderful.
All across Europe. And I went to a lot of restaurants and museums and clubs and churches and architectural marvels. And it was culturally enriching.
That's awesome.
It was really cool. And then the next semester, I was in Egypt, most of it, Middle East broadly, 3 months in Egypt, and then a week in Jordan, and then a month in Israel, Palestine. And that was really fun. I had an Egyptian girlfriend in the time that I was there.
Half a year? Oh, okay.
For 3 months.
Okay.
It was a lot of fun.
What would you like to do when you're traveling? Take good picture, try good food?
Yeah, I like food. I like to take pictures. I like just going around and I don't know, the experience of like figuring out the metro system somewhere, figuring out how to get from point A to point B if they have a metro system. Otherwise, take a taxi or Uber. See what art they have. The museum in Egypt is massive. They're building a bigger one. And it's just crazy seeing all of the ancient Egyptian architecture, all that jazz.
That's very interesting because I think right now the way we are traveling are really different now. In the past, I remember in my experience in China, the way we travel changed a lot. In the past, we most of the time travel by groups. We join the traveler, sign up for the trip and then go with the bus. But later, more and more people start to join like individual trips. We all have one car or two car and go travel together. And nowadays, now we have more trips, like different people will get a bike or get a motorcycle or get a RV to travel even more. In the past, we in China, I don't remember there's a lot of people using RV, but during the pandemic, I think there's more people started using RV,
Yeah, there's something magical to sort of traveling by yourself. I was basically by myself both trips.
Interesting.
And just doing, I was with a group, but I was doing things by myself. And I don't know, built up a solid amount of confidence doing that and felt comfortable just talking to people. And I don't know, when I was blonder then. I'm not quite blonde now, but Egyptians got a kick out of a white blonde dude coming around and starting a conversation with them and saying 5 words of Arabic. I have this watch that I just got. It has Arab numerals on it instead of
Roman numeral.
not Roman numerals. It's funny because you still call the numbers that we use now Arabic numerals because they're based on these.
Oh, very cool. This is my first time seeing this.
Yeah, and I know some of the names of the numbers in Arabic, but it's been a while since I've been there. That was back in 2018, so 6 years ago.
Yeah, when I'm traveling alone, so nowadays I like to, just have one day free and then set up 3 destinations, and then I go there just riding a bike or get an electric scooter in LA. I just go there in the morning, and then at lunchtime I go to another place, and afternoon I find a place and then come back from another route. I like to do that because I can met a lot of fun surprises.
Yeah.
And take some good picture at some, unplanned beautiful place.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. And could you share some hard time you have and how did you overcome it?
Sure. So I'm bipolar. And with that means that I have a, how should I put this? I'm basically allergic to marijuana.
Marijuana. Oh, I see.
And so what happens is that if I smoke too much marijuana, I go psychotic. And the first time I went psychotic, I was hospitalized. Second time, it was the beginning of COVID. And so I had to just go home, which was rough.
That's rough.
And so now I avoid marijuana. But it was interesting because I was in a really bad place after that second bout of psychosis. And I had to find a way out of it. And the way out of it for me was a procedure called electroconvulsive therapy. So it's where they put these things on your head, send a current through your brain, and it shocks you and causes a seizure, and it cures depression.
Does the electric your body really work on your brain?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes,
okay.
it works really well. The side effect is that you have poor memory afterwards. So that's a big reason why I have a hard time forgetting things.
I see.
So this is a fun game I like to play. The median number of usages of ECT for treatment is 13. Guess how many times I did it?
13? How many you did?
Guess.
20?
More.
30?
More.
40?
More.
60?
More.
Really?
65.
65? Wow. It's hard to cure.
But it worked.
I'm glad it worked.
And the thing and it's hard to remember anything before ECT. Most of that I remember based on stories or pictures. The thing that I remember was the year after I did ECT. I did ECT in 2021. In 2022, I was recovering from ECT, and I was spending a lot of time basically just in bed, overcome with anxiety. And overcoming that anxiety was one of my greatest feats that I'm very proud of myself for.
Yes. That's not easy.
Yeah, because, I was afraid that I couldn't think well, that I had forgotten everything, that I couldn't do anything. And then one day I was like, I'm going to get a master's of economics.
Then you come here.
And then I come here.
Okay. Thank you for your stories. That's very meaningful for all of us.
Of course.
So may I ask now, what advice would you like to give to 7C student?
I would say try to socialize as much as you can. It can get lonely. That was another thing that I struggled with was loneliness, both here and there. But I don't really get lonely anymore, which is interesting. But it's still good to have an outlet, to have friends, to go to things. We're meeting right now before a social event. So go to the social events. Try and just, you can have life outside of studies. Even though studies is the right reason you're here, there's still friendships to be made.
True. And okay, so the next question is from the previous speaker. How does the 7C student maximum their time in here to have a maximum value?
I don't like thinking in terms of maximum value. I find that has led me to a lot of bad decisions and time.
Oh, that's great point. Because in the past I was trying to use the words like 100% a lot,
Right.
but then I want to 100% understand the readings that my teacher gave me or something else. But then I realized 100%, the gap between 100% and 99 is kind of huge.
Yes.
And sometimes this difference is even more than the cost of from 0 to 99%.
Yeah, so what I would say instead is figure out what's important to you. Like for me, for especially my first year, it was really important to me that I got good grades, sort of to prove to myself that I hadn't lost my abilities. And so that was a priority. But like even then, I was doing the homework and studying for tests. That's what it took to get good grades for me, at least. And so it's not so much about maximizing your value, because there is an investment element here, but we're not profit-seeking entities. We are human beings. And so because of that, we need to focus on a more holistic pathway, which includes friends, which includes free time, which includes studying, which includes all these things. It's just the thing that I would recommend, and what I'm trying to do right now, is get on some sort of schedule, right? Get some sort of rhythm, because being in grad school, it can be hard to have a schedule. And so, for me, one of the big things that I'm changing right now is when I wake up. For the longest time, I've been waking up at like 11 o'clock. And it's like, no, I'm losing some daytime. And I'm not really sleeping those last couple hours. I'm sort of tossing and turning. So like, let's move the needle there. Let's focus on, and it's my thing is going all in on little changes, not little changes on one thing. It's just one thing that's a little different, and then you're putting a huge effort into changing it. Yeah. I can give examples of things that I've done this with, but it's like, I was drinking pretty regularly, and then I just stopped drinking. I was doing these different habits, and then it's just like, no, I'm just going to, from this day on, not do it anymore. And now I feel a lot more balanced.
Yes, it feels like sometimes we are not a machine. Even machines, you gotta have oil on the machine, or when it's raining, it's going to crack and not really running smoothly. For our life as well, right? We need something, not only just the work, but also other stuff to support ourselves to continue.
Right.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a very good discussion. And what would you like to ask the next speaker? Have one question?
How do you find peace?
Good question. Okay, that's the end of this video. Thank you everybody for watching. And if you feel like this is the way I do it, or have any suggestion, feel free to leave any comments. And I will see you in the next video. Thank you.